In the mid-14th century, the world faced an unprecedented disaster in history. The Black Death of 1347 to 1351 was not just an epidemic, but it was recorded as the deadliest catastrophe in human history. It is estimated to have claimed between 75 and 200 million lives. This amounted to about one-third of the world's population at that time. The origins of the epidemic lay in the steppes of Central Asia. The cause of the plague, the Yersinia pestis bacterium, spread through black rats and the fleas living on them. The regions where trade routes intersected acted almost as highways for this deadly visitor's arrival in Europe and the Middle East. The Silk Road, stretching from China to the Black Sea coasts, became a route not only for silk and spices but also for death. In the autumn of 1347, the Genoese trading colony of Kaffa, now Feodosia, on the Black Sea coast, was under siege. The Mongol army conducting the siege noticed an outbreak of disease within their ranks. According to legend, the corpses of dead soldiers were catapulted into the city walls. This is remembered as one of the first examples of biological warfare in history. Genoese ships, fleeing the siege, carried their deadly cargo with them. Within weeks, the plague reached Mediterranean port cities. In 1348, the epidemic erupted rapidly in the ports of Marseille, Barcelona, Genoa, and Venice. Then it spread to France, Spain, Italy, and North Africa. In 1349, the disease reached England, and in 1350, Scandinavia. No corner of Europe escaped this disaster. The plague not only spread rapidly but also left people helpless with its deadliness. Within a few days of infection, symptoms such as high fever, severe headache, vomiting, and blackish swellings, buboes, in the lymph nodes appeared, and most sufferers died within a week. These black spots were one of the main reasons the epidemic came to be called the Black Death. The effects of the epidemic were felt not only in the field of health, but throughout the fabric of society. Villages emptied, fields were left unplanted, cities fell silent. The number of corpses was so high that even gravediggers caught the disease and died, making mass burials inevitable. The economic order collapsed. The labor shortage increased the bargaining power of survivors. Landowners struggled to find workers, wages rose, and the foundations of the feudal system were shaken. Religious life was also deeply affected. Some interpreted this catastrophe as God's wrath. Groups called flagellants traveled from city to city, whipping themselves in an attempt to cleanse their sins. Medieval medicine was unable to understand the causes of the plague. Germs had not yet been discovered. Doctors believed the disease spread through bad air, miasma, or astrological effects. In some cities, cesspits were closed, and in some places, incense was burned. But these did not slow the spread. Quarantine measures, however, were notable. In 1348, Venice started requiring ships arriving at its port to wait 40 days. This period was called quaranta giorni in Italian, the origin of the modern word quarantine. Medical books were rewritten during the epidemic, and public health measures began to be applied systematically for the first time. Yet at the time, none of these could keep pace with the speed of death. The Black Death left a profound legacy for the modern world. Above all, it showed that epidemics have not just medical, but also social, economic, and psychological dimensions. Quarantine, contact tracing, and international coordination, which we see today during global outbreaks like COVID-19, have their roots in the painful experience of the 14th century. Genetic studies reveal that the Black Death left lasting traces in the European population. Gene variations that gave resistance to the plague may have been passed down through generations. However, this immunity might have increased vulnerability to other diseases. Moreover, the transformation of the social structure in Europe after the epidemic, the expansion of peasants' rights, and the acceleration of urbanization were major changes that laid the foundations for modern Europe. In other words, the Black Death brought both destruction and rebirth. Today, thanks to scientific progress, the plague can be treated with antibiotics. Yet this does not mean we should forget the lessons of the Black Death. Even in our era of accelerated global trade and travel, the reality that a disease can spread across borders still holds true. The Black Death was not just the greatest ordeal of the 14th century, but one of the harshest trials in human history. While the epidemic extinguished millions of lives, it changed much more besides. The desperation of that time allows us to appreciate the value of medical science today. This catastrophe reminds us that diseases do not care about the power of empires, the wealth of economies, or the beliefs of societies. Our greatest weapons against them are knowledge, solidarity, and scientific progress. The legacy of the Black Death carries both the cold face of death and the power of humanity to rise again at the same time. If you found the impressive story of the Black Death, one of humanity's most challenging trials, interesting, don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in new content.